Hello and welcome to another episode of the Manufacturing Leads podcast with me, Mark Bracknell, Managing Director of Theo James Recruitment. Today we welcomed on Charlie Goodfellow, the Operations Manager at Icon Plastics. I'm incredibly proud of this episode. We started this podcast 2.5 years ago and I believe this is episode 81. It's one of my proudest today because when I started the podcast, I wanted to give value and add value back into the manufacturing world, but I wanted to give a platform for leaders. And I love the fact I can give a platform to a young 28-year-old leader like Charlie, who is an absolute inspiration. He really is. I'm a parent. My kids aren't quite old enough yet to be at the stage where they're looking at their next step. I think if they were, I would give them this episode, particularly if perhaps they were a little bit lost in their way, because the way he talks, his passion, his inspiration, and how quickly he's progressed with the industry is down to the opportunity he's been given at a fantastic business who have trusted someone so young to do the job, which again is a lesson itself that we don't always have to look externally. But B, someone who believes in themselves and essentially wants to progress within their chosen profession. And Charlie speaks in detail about that, about his leadership journey, the challenges, the opportunities and everything between. We obviously dive right into that, and we obviously dive right into manufacturing and all things manufacturing 5.0, which Charlie is very passionate about, and he gave his thoughts, detailed thoughts about what manufacturing will look like in 10, 15 years time, and actually what the new generation of workforce will look like and how we can get people ready for that now. I absolutely love this episode. I'm very proud of it. So I hope you will be too. So please listen, watch, sit back and enjoy. Please do me the honor of just hitting that like and subscribe button. It'd be much appreciated. Thank you very much. Excellent. So a massive warm welcome today to Charlie Goodfellow, the Operations Manager at Icon Plastics. How are you, Charlie? You're good?
I'm great, thanks. How are you, Mark?
I'm good, mate. I'm really good. You know what? I'm really looking forward to this one because, we're about 2.5 years into this podcast now. And, what I always wanted to be was a platform which would share value back into the industry and help essentially, up and coming managers, really. But the fact, I'm quite proud that it's given opportunity to someone like yourself, who is a young, don't we ask, when we tell people 28, done unbelievably well in their career. And I think this will be a real inspiration for all those young leaders that they can do it and they can do it quickly. They don't have to wait decades to do so. So I think you might be the youngest person we've had on here. So yeah, well done for that already.
I really appreciate the opportunity. Just you reaching out. I was a bit, are you sure you want to interview me? I'm sure there's people there with more experience, but no, I really do appreciate it.
No, I'm really looking forward to it, buddy. So first question is the same question I ask everyone, which is, what does it mean to you to be a leader? What do you say?
So I've been through a lot of diverse roles in a lot of different industries, and I've seen different leadership styles. And for me, there've been people that have left a positive impression on me and molded me and allowed me to become a better person. So if I can reflect that as a leader, that's just the end goal for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, nice. So it's, for you then, it's more about, because I always find it interesting why people become leaders. You know what I mean? I think people want to be, some people are born, that's a debate in itself. But some people I think are leaders because they want to lead people and that's their sort of inspiration. Some people like you have had great leaders then and want to give back. It sounds like it's the latter for you, to almost repay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've had mentors. I've been at low points in my life and different careers, and those people have left such a positive impression and enabled growth with me and progression to where I am today. I'd love to be able to do that to the person and pass that along and carry on. And obviously there is an accolade with being a leader, and I am driven and I want to succeed. So that plays a part as well, but it is mainly just being able to facilitate other people's journeys.
Yeah, love that, man. And I think one thing we're going to get back to a lot is how well you've done in such a short space of time, because that in itself is inspirational. I like to sort of go back because I think it's important for people to understand the background you've had, because you're a 28-year-old operations manager of a successful manufacturing business, and that in itself is excellent. But let's go back to when you started. Am I right in saying, was it ex-forces? Was it RAF? Was that the background?
Yeah. So my first real career, my first ever job role was in the RAF. I did communications, And that just really laid the foundation for the rest of my life and the rest of my career. The values that I uphold, the attributes that I look in people, all come from that initial career path in the RAF.
And was it always something you wanted to get into then, the RAF? What led to that?
No, it wasn't, to be honest with you. I did really well in school, and I foundered in college. I fell off the path straight away, and the RAF provided the opportunities and the things that I needed in myself to keep me grounded, discipline, routine, X, Y, and Z. So that's what attracted me to it, because that's what I needed at that time in my life.
And obviously, you get people who stay in forces for for the whole career and just progress within it, because the progression is obviously fantastic. You get other people who you see you've been there for sort of 2 to 5 years, wherever it is, and then move. Was it always a short space of time you wanted to learn your trade and come out, or what was the thought process there?
I wanted to stay in for the long haul, to be honest with you. I made some great friends for life. There's different experiences. You get to travel the world. Some of the things that my friends have done who've stayed in for a lot longer than me are just fantastic. But I wasn't at that point in my life. I wasn't enjoying my job role, so to say, with the engineering. I knew that I wanted to come out and have a shot at something to do with business. That was what made me want to get up in the morning, something that I'm actually interested in. So although the opportunities and everything was great and the progression was great, I just wanted to try and go out and do something different.
Yeah, nice. How can the bit? What was the inspiration behind the business piece then? Was that sort of family stuff, or?
No, I've always wanted to run my own business.
Okay.
That's what kickstarted it.
Yeah, yeah. Is that the for you to, again, is that part of the leadership piece in terms of to lead people, or was it just something to build something again? What was, because I guess people have businesses for different reasons.
I just wanted to build. I was determined. I wanted to work for myself. I was seeing areas of businesses and work for people under them, and I thought, oh, well, I think I can do this and maybe improve a little bit on the way that they were operating. That's just what drove me. And so I left the RAF and decided to go to university to get my business degree, which is something that I've never done, and just jump into the deep end, really.
What was that like coming out of the RAF straight into Civvy Street, straight to university? I guess mixing with people who had not come through that route. I imagine, did you feel any difference there?
Yeah, definitely. Because I was a little bit older when I went to university instead of you standard 18 years old. I've suddenly felt like I was a little bit behind everyone else. I was behind the curve. I was a more mature student. And transferring to civilian life, like you say, it's completely different to having that. You're told, you're regimented, you're up at this time, you've got these duties to do, X, Y, and Z. You've got to keep your kit to this standard. When you come out, there's loads of different variables. There's nothing set in stone, so you have to adjust to that. But the skills and the mindset that the RAF gives you with integrity, discipline, encouragement, communication skills, it just carries over. So it did benefit my university career.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think those traits do you think they're traits you had and you just needed the right environment to bring them out, or do you think they taught you that?
A bit of both, to be honest with you. The fact that they tell you, not tell you how to act, but they facilitate how you should act, and they say integrity is a core value. It's driven into you. It was something that I had when I was in school. I was head boy in school. I did really well in school, and then in college I left that behind, a part of me behind, and that discipline and that structure and that support network facilitated that to come back through and come to the top again.
Yeah, nice. And now, what drives? Because you're obviously someone that's very passionate and very driven. What drives you now? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
I just want to be better than I was yesterday. I don't see an end goal. I just want to keep progressing, and just do the best that I can. I want to be able to look back at my life and have no regrets.
Yeah.
Not the if, buts, and maybes, and a little bit scared. Because if you feel apprehensive and a little bit scared about doing something, you're more likely doing the right thing in life, aren't you? So,
yeah.
And I've learned that.
And I think what's different now, potentially, for what maybe wasn't the case even probably 10, 15 years ago, I think there's more resources out there now. Do you know what I mean? I think, social media quite, gets a lot of stick for the pressures it puts on young people. And I'm 39. I didn't really grow up with social media, and I'm pleased with that. When I was at school and so it wasn't there. But actually, I think the resources, you look at YouTube or whatever the medium you choose, there's stuff out there now which can inspire you. Did you use platforms like that to help you with that gap?
Yeah, definitely. LinkedIn, I was looking at people's profiles who had the same career role as what I wanted to do, looked at their progression, what skills do they have, what qualifications do they have. Going to university, they want you to do that. They want you to go out there and look around, look into the industry, like Industry 5.0, all the different revolutions and stuff like that. And because you're constantly learning and expanding, and I've taken that and I carried that on after university, where I think a lot of people stop because they're not forced to do assignments and look out elsewhere. I've continued to do that, and I think that's what's enabled me to progress.
Yeah. Have you ever felt different to, it depends on your friends group, but have you ever felt different to people you've grown up with or people around you?
Yeah, and it's a stark contrast between me and my mates.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely different. I'm more of a, I think they'd class me as someone that they'd trust with the finances, stuff like that, whereas they're a bit off the rails, or potentially they're just happy doing a 9 to 5. They don't want the extra stress that comes with it. They want to be able to clock off after work.
Yeah. Because I think what you'll find is you'll probably get two different people who listen to this podcast, in terms of, you probably hopefully have young people who are listening going, right, that's just giving me the kick up the arse. I need to sort of get myself set because I can, it's inspired me. You'll also get parents of people who are perhaps, 16, 17, and they're worried that their son or daughter haven't really got that motivation or drive, or they don't know what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? Again, do you think that's something that, again, you can just find? Did you ever lose your way in any sort of period of time?
Yeah, like I said, during college, I was predicted 3 A's. I was going to go to university. I was going to do chemical engineering, and my attendance must have been about 20%. I had no drive, no motivation. I just gave up, to be honest with you. I wasn't bothered, and obviously joining the RAF, but getting myself back to physical fitness. I couldn't run. I couldn't do the press ups, so I was doing that every night. You've just got to flip the switch, and you've got to. Days where you're not motivated, you still got to have the discipline to go and do the tasks that you need to do. I think that's massive. Motivation comes and goes, whereas discipline doesn't. It stays with you.
Yeah. What was the catalyst to change then? Thinking back in terms of,
I
how
think
did
it
you flick
was
the switch?
making my parents proud. I think, and to be honest, I seen one of the lads that I used to be in school with, and he was like, "Oh God, out of everyone, I thought that you'd have been doing so well. You'd have been doing X, Y, and Z." And I was like, "Do you know what? Reflecting on it, I am capable of doing this." And yeah, I think that's what made me realise that I'd let it slip so far that someone had noticed it just from having a casual conversation with me.
Yeah, it's that. But what's nice is that they'd already seen in you what you were, where you are now.
Privacy, yeah, definitely, yeah, previously.
Seen that. So, fast forward. I guess we'll rewind, but fast forward after university, going into the big wide world where a lot of people, will experience this. You'll have probably at that stage been at a better stage at some people coming out of graduating, because at least you've got the RF behind you, but it's still a big wide world. You've got to find a job. Where's your head at there, and what were the steps after that?
I was already working at Sainsbury's part-time while I was at university. I was a colleague for about 3 months, and then there was opening for a store manager. So I put my name forward for that and got the job role. So I was a part-time store manager while I was at university. And that obviously coincides massively with my business degree. So it gave me a wealth of experience and something that I wasn't experienced in. Obviously, with the RAF, it was more engineering. I'd never really done anything to do with business. I'd studied it, but I'd never had that first-hand experience and being able to put anything into practice that I'd learned in the classroom. So that really gave me the ability to test leadership skills and test the way that I wanted to delegate tasks. And it was an old work base. There were a lot of experienced colleagues, and there was me there who'd never worked there before, had suddenly been a store manager after 3 months experience. I didn't know how to do the tills properly still, little things like that. And I'm telling them what to do. So I found like quite a large backlash, and it took me a while to overcome that. Like you say, imposter syndrome, all the rest of it. I was like, why have they given me this role when there's so many more experienced people than me? And you second guess yourself, but that was probably the best opportunity for me, and it was the best thing that I did.
Yeah, it's a massive challenge, isn't it? Because often in any industry, they'll accelerate someone's career path if they can see that future in there, like they would have done for you. But when you're thrust into that, and suddenly you've got to train people who are, it could be double your age. That's the reason. You could have been there for 20 years, and you're probably thinking, and they're maybe thinking, who's this kid trying to tell me what to do? Do you know what I mean? and then
Well,
you,
some of them made that pretty vocal, yeah.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
was hard to break down those barriers and
yeah.
show them that I was competent and that I was capable of doing the job role.
And reflecting now, what you know from going through that, and what did you do? Do you know what I mean? What are the sort of what would you do if you did it again? What how would you do it?
I think it's learning people's mannerisms and how to talk to them and how to be persuasive. I think being a leader, you have to get people to buy into your vision, and you're telling people to do things and you're telling them to carry out tasks. But why would they commit to that? Why would they do it your way? So you've got to be persuasive in the way that you put things across and clear and concise. And I think what was massive for me was I owned the fact that I was a novice, that I didn't know much. So when I made mistakes, I would be the first person to look, hold my hands up. I'm wrong. Is there any way that you would have done this so I don't do it wrong in the future? And giving them the ability to have their insight and see me grow because of them built the relationship with us. And by the end of it, they were all sad to see me leave, hopefully.
Yeah. Out of interest, that way of management, because I'll ask you the reason why I'm asking this, but I'll ask it after. That way of that honesty piece, in terms of that transparency, honesty piece, was that something you'd learn from university how to manage, or was that come naturally, or that felt like the thing to do at the time?
Yeah, that felt natural to me, and I think that comes from the integrity in the RAF.
Okay.
If you made a mistake or someone else made a mistake, it was a lot easier to just hold your hands up and go, look, I've done this, and just accept the consequences and move on with it. You don't have time to beat around the bush. It's just quick, concise, go, go, go all the time. And I think that carried over into the way that I manage and the way that I look at the business world.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because the reason I ask is when I speak to a lot of people on here, let's say the 45, 50-year-old managers who've managed for a long time, sometimes when I ask them the question, what would you do differently if you could start your leadership journey again? And I've regularly had that when they started out, they pretended to know it all because they were scared of that transparency piece. But as they've learned, as they get older, that isn't necessarily the best way to get respect. And I think that, and I've
Yeah,
seen
definitely.
management change now, and I'm seeing people like yourself come in and just be honest, because I think people really respect that
Yeah.
type of environment, don't they?
I think the old school top down management is just slowly getting weeded out. It doesn't work, does it?
Yeah,
It's
it
an
doesn't.
equilibrium. It's a level playing field. Everyone has their specialities, and everyone can bring something different to the business. And without those different parts, the business doesn't turn over. It's not profitable. It's not efficient.
Yeah, 100%. And it is such a good mentality to have, because you're absolutely right. That dictatorship type culture is just dead. And I still see it in
Yeah,
some businesses, but they are the type of businesses I also see with a very high turnover, a churn of staff, and nothing changes because it is that sort of top down. So completely agree. So moving into manufacturing, obviously, retail, what I think retail, fantastic background to have, very, very difficult, dealing with people on a daily
yeah.
basis, dealing with problems on a daily basis. Those graduate schemes, I think, are superb. How did you find ultimately, and how did you decide to get into manufacturing? Because I'm always interested in that.
So I met the CEO of the company while I was out, and I was originally brought on to do the social media management of another side company that he was facilitating,
Yeah.
and it just grew from there. I don't know how to describe it. Right place, right time, I guess. I proved myself that I was capable of doing more, and I just slowly got more and more responsibility.
Yeah, and now operations. But so, how long have you been in your role as ops manager now? Then, because how long have you been there for
Um,
now? Sort of three years.
About 2 and a bit years now.
2 years.
2.5 years maybe. I think I've been doing the operations manager role for about 10 months.
Really? Okay. And how did that? Was it natural? And again, when you came in, did you see that was the route for you, or is that just the way it happened?
That's what I wanted to do. Obviously, the manufacturing and the engineering background had a crossover, so I had an understanding of the terminology where I could sit down in a sales meeting and understand what the customer wanted, how we'd be able to get that outcome for them. So there was a crossover there. What was new was managing like operations, looking at resource allocation, financial was massive. I'm still really, really learning how to be good financially.
Yeah.
And yeah, so there was a crossover there, and I could see myself doing that role. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a leader, and that gave me the opportunity to do that.
Was it obvious from the start they were going to put that trust into you and you were going to, I mean, if you said to you 2.5 years ago, you'd be, you'd be ops manager, was that obvious, or was it surprised you?
No, it's a surprise. I'm still surprised every day. I'm really grateful for the opportunity that Icon Plastics have given me, the faith that they're showing me every single day. I've got two great leaders, both the directors are in the same office as me, so I can lean on them, ask for advice. And yeah, it's just enabled me to grow, like you say, in such a short period of time. Without the faith and the respect that they have for me, I'd have never been in this position. I am really lucky. I know I am that I've fell into this company at the right time, I suppose.
It's just refreshing because it's rare that happens. Realistically, if there's an opportunity in a manufacturing business, of an operations manager led, they typically go external and go, right, okay, who have we got with 10, 15, 20 years experience, because we want to kick this company off. Do you mean, so that level of trust is really given to someone? Is that culture run through the business? Because it's not a business I know too well. So what in terms of, does it run through the culture of business? How does that work?
Yeah, we're as a company as a whole, especially since I've been here, we'd much rather promote from within. You know the person, you know their attributes, you know that they're a good employee. So why would you look elsewhere? Why would you spend the money potentially recruiting, retraining someone? It just makes sense to promote from within, and every given opportunity the company has and will do that.
Yeah, excellent. So in terms of and your leadership now, then how you're getting mentored, I guess, by the two owners, which is great. How much flexibility and how much autonomy you given with your team and for new people? How does that work?
In terms of training for new employees, or just
Yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah, because obviously,
yeah.
I imagine you're now tasked with growing the new generation of people to come into Icon as well.
Yeah, so we've got two apprentices that have taken on, both on the technical team on different sides, the production side and the maintenance side.
Yeah.
We do on-the-job training. What we've started doing recently quite a lot is getting the end product. With plastic components, it might look insignificant. Why is this so important? Why is the quality so important? Why are we doing this X, Y, and Z test? But when you see all of different components in the final build, one of our customers, Endomag, they build breast cancer units, so it assists in breast cancer surgeries, and it's revolutionising the way that that's carried out. So for them to see the lens that they've manufactured, the base that they've manufactured, all assembled, and how it functions, it gives them a real sense of pride and an understanding. So that's what we're rolling out at the minute, and we're seeing really great results where they know where the end of life the product is and what it's used for.
It's brilliant, that. And you know what, that for me links with, if I think of look at the data that we get all the time for why people stay in businesses and why they leave. Salaries obviously will always be number one. People will tick that box. But after that, you're looking at flexibility, but then you're looking at that progression piece, which you're talking about there, with that progression's there. But actually, the new generation of people coming through, it's purpose, and they want to be part of something which actually makes a difference. They're not just saying they do, they really do. And I've seen that firsthand now. So companies will do amazing things like working with that client you're working with there, which are helping to save lives. And I think people want to be part of that. I mean, do you feel that internally, that it feels like an important project with stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like you say, it gives them value. It's like, oh, look, my work's contributed to that. I've had a helping hand in building this. We've increased successful breast cancer surgeries by X amount. They have had a serious hand in contributing to that. So it gives, like you say, it gives them validation. It makes them realise that the job and the work that they're carrying out really is worthwhile. Even in terms of the stuff that we manufacture for the seating components for our automotive customer, we've got a complete unit built up that they can come in, sit down, and we'll go, this, look, there's that part, this is this part, this forms part of the electrical components. And we've really seen an uplift in the quality of work since doing that.
Apologies for interrupting this podcast with a very quick 30-second description of my business. Theo James are an engineering and manufacturing recruitment search firm based in Durham. We specialise in contract and permanent opportunities from blue-collar, semi-skilled roles right the way up to C-suite level exec positions. If you're looking for any new additional staff or new opportunity for yourself in the industry, please contact me or the team. There'll be a specialist in your area waiting to help. I'm incredibly proud of this business and what we've built since our inception in 2015, and I would love to extend that service out to you. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoy the episode. Really.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to talk about quality a little bit because I think, it's quite topical in manufacturing now. There's a war on price, and there's always been a war on price with China and another country. I know last time we spoke, we talked about Dubai as well and what have you. But ultimately, quality is the most important. It should be the most important part for any client. It sounds like you've really doubled down on that quality piece to make sure that the sales come with, and obviously the client ultimately is happy.
Yeah, so the company's portfolio is completely built on return custom. As customers have grown, Icon Plastics have grown because we've been given new contracts, because the quality of work, our turnaround, our stockholding agreements, the relationships that we've built, the foundation of that is the quality of the components that we supply into them on time, each week, each month. So, I mean, the portfolio is basically based around maybe 10 to 15 customers that have been with the company since its creation, so around 15 years ago. And what's really great is they've grown and we've grown alongside them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
How
we
do you?
never.
Go on, mate,
Sorry, go
sorry.
on. I was just saying we'd never be able to do that without the quality being there. That's the primary factor. You're completely right. And we're constantly changing. We're rolling out a new program at the minute with SOPs that are on videos. We're doing away with all the paperwork. We're doing visual boundaries. We're doing a new quality alerts. It's real-time information that comes back from the machine and the wormer that we've used.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Where do these ideas come from? Is this owners? Is this staff? How do you? I guess because I'm passionate about that continuous improvement piece and how companies can continue to sort of obviously improve. But where do the ideas for that type of stuff come from internally? Would you say?
We have a town hall meeting, so everyone from operators all the way up to directors are free to attend. We have that every month. We get ideas from there. The quality department will bring forward ideas that will come from the owners. I might have an idea here and there. And because it's a family-based business, there's no board of directors, although there is directors that you have to go through to allocate funding. If they can see that that's going to facilitate change and make a serious improvement, they'll allocate the money to do it. They'll say, go on, we trust in you. We have the faith in you. Go develop that and deliver that project. And that's massive. In the 2-year period, maybe a little bit longer that I've been here, the level of investment is just second to none for a SME, for someone that's turning over and doing pretty well. For them to invest that much money just shows the commitment that they have to the employees and the business itself. Whether it's new machinery, 3D printers, we've bought 3D scanners for our quality department. It's just numerous, and it's great to see. It makes you feel comfortable. It's exciting that the growth's there.
Yeah, I love that. I had this conversation today that new technology and innovation is actually amazing, particularly for younger generation. People towards the end of their career, actually, it's something new and it's a big change, and they might not be on board with that. For you being in a role where you are operations and you've got to lead people and lead from the front, how do you change, sort of win hearts and minds and starts when something new comes in? You're not always going to get yeses, are you? You're going to get, I imagine you've got some resistance as well.
Of course, yeah. There's always resistance to change, the element of trust, especially if it's technology based. I think you have to prove its competency, and most of the time you're bringing in a process improvement which is going to make the employee's life better. They just need to realize that that's the case. And obviously it's sitting them down with whether it's a program or a software, running them through how to use it and showing them the ROI on their time, facilitating the data input. It's going to change the role a little bit, but it's going to be better in the long run. As long as they understand that, anyone will get behind it. I understand where you come from, because at university I did my dissertation on Industry 5.0.
Okay.
So I think that manufacturing's been based around process improvements in terms of technology, but they've founded and left the employee behind.
Yeah.
Whereas in Industry 5.0 is bringing that focus back to the employee. Fair enough, leverage all of the softwares and the technologies that you want to do, but the basis of any company is their employee, and they have that creative thinking that AI doesn't have. So being able to have that collaboration between the two systems is massive, and that's the future of manufacturing, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree, because, and again, it's your role as leader to try to keep people at ease through these changes, because people are scared of this stuff. Do you know what I mean? You hear scaremonger, it's going to take our jobs and this type of stuff, and particularly on the for the operator, all this type, that it's it's no one really knows what's exactly going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But I completely agree with what you're talking about. It's that collaboration piece. People tell me all day long that my job as a recruiter is going to go to AI. That's fine. There'll be certain things which will be given to AI.
Yeah.
But I would still argue that you need that human interaction to work alongside it. Are these discussions happening in your business now? We say them.
Yeah, so we're looking at, I mean, what we can afford with the level of investment. That's one of the major challenges and the things that's stopping SMEs and places of business and small manufacturers like ourselves from pushing forward and being able to keep with the times. Obviously, you have to do that, though. You have to iterate. You've got to constantly change. Continuous improvement's massive. So those conversations are going on. I think what we've noticed as well is that there's going to be a skills shortage.
Yeah.
It's going to be more technically based. The repetitive tasks, loading, offloading machines, is going to be carried out by automation, but that's going to improve employee ergonomics, things like that. Their workload, it will free up their time to focus on more worthwhile jobs and tasks.
Yeah,
I think that's massive.
I completely agree, because actually, and I think for me, it's I'm optimistic about this, but actually, what's difficult to find people for nowadays, it's to get people into manufacturing engineering to do those difficult tasks, because actually they're low paid, and you can probably do a less stress and easier job in some retail, hospitality, whatever it is, for a very similar, if not more money. But actually, what are people interested in? They're interested in technology, they're interested in computers, they're interested in how things work. But that's exactly the type of skills they're going to need, aren't they?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And I think if it's just, for me, it's an upskilling, but also making sure, if we can get into schools now and colleges now, and teaching people these skills so they're ready. So I see it as an opportunity. I really do.
Oh, I agree with you. I'm excited. You've got to embrace the times. It's going to change whether you like it or not. So you may as well understand the change and be able to grow and leverage it. Do your research. It's going to happen, basically. I agree completely.
I completely agree. So, and if we fast forward 15, 20 years time there, given the experience you've got and the research you've done, I guess, then, what do you see a manufacturing facility? If you're looking at Icon Plastics now, let's go 20 years on. What do you think? What does it look like, do you think, in your eyes?
I think it's more of the smart factory. So it's the communication between each different software, the integration between them, everything. So if there's a press and it's suddenly the productivity is going down, that'll be able to speak to the computer system, which will notify the maintenance engineer, you need to go look at this exact component, so their workload's minimized, and that'll just drive productivity. Maybe not to that degree in 15 to 20 years. Like I said, it's investment and making sure that you've got the employees that have the skills and knowledge to be able to facilitate these softwares and advantages. But that's definitely the way that it's going to go. Even augmented reality, I think that would be big for manufacturing. So having the overlay for the operator, I think the training will be carried out by that. Skype and Teams calls, maintenance engineers who don't know how to access a certain thing can have a specialist and showing them exactly what to do and what to take off and what valves to replace. I think, it's exciting when you think about it.
I think it's so exciting. I do, because, and the UK is a powerhouse. It always has been, but we need that investment to make sure that companies can afford, because you said it yourself, these things are not cheap. They are not cheap. No. And if other countries are investing and we're not, we'll get left behind, because ultimately, as operations, quality is important, but as is price. But actually, if you're going to get businesses that can do things quicker and the quality's still there, we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's like you said. Obviously, we had a customer who went to Dubai for some work. We ended up bringing those tools back in house because the quality wasn't there. But it will get to a point where they'll be able to compete with us on a quality standpoint. Yeah. So we have to constantly change, continuous improvement, leverage these softwares to have the edge on them. Yeah. If we can't compete in terms of labour prices, we have to be better in other areas. It's as simple as that. Yeah. When you're competing on a global scale now, you're not just competing with the factory down the road anymore. It's across the world. It's global.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think, you're around, people sort of, mid-20s and whatever, and do you think, and even if you look at the last 10 years, do you think that manufacturing engineering, the awareness is still there in terms of exactly what you're talking about there, the types of kit and equipment to deal with? Is the awareness there, or are we a long way behind, do you think?
I don't think that the awareness is there per se. No, I really don't. I think you've still got to go out there and do a bit of digging yourself to see what's going on, what are the new trends. Everyone knows about AI, but it's all the other things that come alongside of it. I don't think it's there. It is pushed in university, but if you're not going to university and your education stops at school or college point, then no, I think you've still got to go out there and do a bit of digging yourself to fully understand what's going on.
Yes, yeah, same. I still don't think that there's that awareness of what careers, what money you can earn, what progression there is.
Yeah, there's going to be so many future job roles that don't exist now in 10 or 15 years time. So it's
Absolutely.
it's getting the populace prepared for that, isn't it?
100%. You know, even looking at sustainability and that piece, how that's going to radically change manufacturing and you know, creating new roles. You know, the people, you know, that you now getting sustainability managers and these, you know,
Yeah,
these
yeah.
roles that just didn't exist because you know it never needed. But it's another massive change that factories are working towards. Is that something you sort of started to touch on that sort of that journey?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the future of plastics. It's went from being a negative to
Yeah,
a positive. I think that's what we're going to push. We're going to be the green link in the supply chain for a lot of our customers, and I think that's how we're going to keep. You know, we were talking about that repeat custom. We want to show them, look, we've got this recycled grade material that has the same properties as your virgin material, but you're saving X, Y, and Z on carbon emissions. I think that's the way that plastics is going to continue its growth, especially with bioplastics. With recycled grade, there's obviously a finite resource out there. If it comes from cars, there's only so many cars that you're getting churned down and the plastics are getting taken off. So it's the same issue with virgin material. It will eventually run out. But if when bioplastics get here, and they are getting here, that's definitely going to be the future, 100%.
not 100%. You
Yeah,
know what? I think that's where you've got an opportunity because so one of my clients is called BTS Fabrication, based in New Naycliffe. And Phil was talking that about when they got assessed in terms of where they were at and where their carbon footprint was at, they were in a great place. But actually, that was the 75% was their supply chain because that
yeah.
and if they don't come on the journey with them, they can never meet their targets. So this is why if you are a supplier, it's an absolute must, isn't it, to make sure that you're in a good space because it also means you can use any advantage to win new business because your competition aren't there.
Yeah, 100%. Like you say, it's a customer demand now. It's out there. It's out there for a good reason. The way that industry has worked, manufacturing's worked, it's not. It's a linear. It needs to be circular for us to continue having jobs and for us to still have resources to use. I think we're lucky as in the plastics industry. Ours is pretty circular. All of the products that are scrap or sprues, we can regrind, we can reprocess, we can reuse. We can reuse recycled grade material. Although we're heavy in terms of energy consumption, we've deployed solar panels on the top of our roof.
Okay.
So there's ways and means around it. And yeah, like you say, it is the future. You've got to embrace it. And it is the future of the business in terms of securing new clients and continuing the journey with the clients that you've already got.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Getting back to leadership briefly for wrap up, you've obviously, like I said, you really are, you know, you're an inspiration in terms of for a lot of people what you've done. What is left for you in terms of, you know, what gaps do you think I need to plug this to be the leader I want to be ultimately long term? And you've got a head start of most people because where you're at. What are the areas because you think you want to concentrate on? What do you say?
Oh, that's a hard question to ask. I think I'm still learning. I'm nowhere near. I still have a little bit of imposter syndrome. I think, yeah, I'm still learning every day. I'm learning the manufacturing sector. I'm learning what doesn't work with people. What I find hard to this day is having those difficult conversations with employees where the performance is dropping or their attendance hasn't been great. And having to sit down and speak with the people, because once you've built the relationship that I like to build with people, I feel like sometimes maybe it's a little bit too not professional. I don't know what the terminology is for that. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
makes it difficult for me to sit down and suddenly be like, that I'm your manager. This is a serious concern that we're having. So I think I need to work on being approachable but still professional. I think
Yeah.
that's massive for me.
And you know what? I've struggled with that over the years. I have because, you know, not that I want to be everyone's friend, But but ultimately, we have an inbuilt something inside us that want people. We like to get on with people. You're a personal person, so you want that. I battled with it for a long time, and then I went for a stage where I almost withdrew myself in terms of asking about who they really were and getting to know them because I was. But actually, I just think you are who you are. And if you're
Yeah.
someone who wants to really get to know someone and be at a very friendly level with them, that's absolutely fine because that's how you are. That's my opinion. But like you say, there does come a time where you have to have difficult conversations. I think to some extent, you touched on it midway through our conversation. You can bring data into these things. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's what helped me. That actually you can. Sometimes you just have to manage by the numbers, and in manufacturing you can do that, can't you?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, we do a lot at work, so like everything's used off the Bradford Factor score, and we have key performance indicators throughout the business. So I do lean on that, yeah. But that's just something that personally I find a little bit hard just to step
Yeah.
into that professional mode and suddenly, yeah, be almost a bearer of bad news, I suppose. But it is needed. Attendance and timekeeping is the primary basis of everything, isn't it? So
Because you're obviously driven by wanting to help people. You know what I mean? You are driven
yeah,
by wanting to make people feel good and sort of empower them, which is a fantastic trait to have. The negative side of that is you feel that more when something you've said has made them feel. Do you know what I mean? Irrespective of if it's justifiable or not, which I'm sure it is, there is a difficult one to pill to swallow because I completely feel that. But look, these are the real thing that leaders need to know because it isn't an easy job, is it? It isn't.
no, no, it's not. Yeah, it's not 9 to 5 either. As well,
Yeah,
I'll have phone calls at any given time of the day, and you've got to be there mentally to support, haven't you? I think because I was operations coordinator prior to this as well, I was looking at the how am I going to get this material in? How is that press going to run? And now I'm looking at the bigger picture. I'm looking at everything like why, and I'm driving down to that. And I think
yeah.
that I need to keep that mindset going now that I'm operations manager instead of just coordinating and facilitating the material purchasing and the operations and the way that the shop floor is running.
Yeah. How do you manage your mindset? This might be out of work as well, because you take a lot home with you in a job as a manager. It's always there. You're switching off, but you're always thinking about a decision you've got to make or you have made, haven't you?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Um, I enjoy my job. I like coming to work. Every day is different. It's not mundane. I've done jobs where it's just like hitting your head against the wall for 8 or 9 hours,
Yeah.
and I'm lucky. I really appreciate the position that I'm in, the fact that I get to learn every day, meet new people. So taking stuff home and being able and having to deal with things at home is just part and parcel of it, and I really don't mind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's and just finally, in terms of Icon, you've spoke a lot of the business. I think is great and really inspirational for people to hear. What are the next sort of 12 to 18 months looking like? A few things on the horizon.
Yeah, really positive. We've got about 4 live projects, some new tooling coming in for our automotive customer. Again, growing with them, securing more and more work, more and more higher level work as well, especially more high value production. Value adding's massive for Icon in the future. We have our customers now. We want to keep them. We want to get them tied in with us, if you'd like. So we're looking at doing some serious complex assemblies for some of our telecommunications customers. We already do value adding, but it's very minimal, like gaskets and stuff like that inserting. So we're looking to level that up and potentially and building on the new site, whether that be a warehouse or a new factory,
Nice.
depending on how well we do. So yeah, really, really positive things.
Yeah, great to hear. And just very finally, I'm going to ask you probably quite a challenging question. There will be, if there's a young leader, let's say, or if someone wanted to get into leadership right now, but a bit apprehensive to do so, what advice would you give them? And maybe someone's lost their way a little bit. Do you know what I mean? What advice would you give them, knowing what you know now?
You've got to embrace change, and do the things that scare you. If it's scary, you are taking the right step. I promise you that. Everyone's human. So if you're stepping up into a manager role and you're apprehensive about giving a speech, you're apprehensive about applying for the job role, everyone's human. Everyone's been through the process that you're going through. And I think that makes it a lot easier to realize that if they've done it, they make mistakes. No one's perfect. then if you make those mistakes along the way, it's just learning. It's part of your learning and your development. Yeah, so I think you've just got to embrace change. I was at a company that didn't appreciate me, that told me that I'd never go any further. I was getting a good wage for the person that I was. And now 2.5 years down the line, I'm operations manager. And that's because I went to university and I put myself out there, I think.
Yeah, I love that, man. Look, I've really, really enjoyed this. And you know, it's been quite a proud moment, I'll be honest with you, for me having someone like you on the podcast. And I mean that because, you know, I see it as a platform for various reasons for people. But I just think, you know, you are someone who will inspire people, whatever age they are. Do you know what I mean? And I mean that because, you know, we all lose focus, purpose sometimes. But actually, you know, you've spoken so well with such passion, and very, you know, with the level of intelligence that not many people have got. But ultimately, there'll be people listening going, right, I'm gonna give me daughter or my son this just to listen to. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's important, because ultimately, because exactly what we said, there's no awareness really behind manufacturing. There isn't, and I think it's all corporate nonsense. Really, there's a lot of it online. Do you know what I mean? There isn't, and I think this is the type of stuff for me. This is why I did this podcast, because I want people and I want young people to be able to go, so there could be a career for me there. And actually, I don't have to, because sometimes you look at managing directors, operations managers, and you think, well, it'll take me 30, 40 years to get to do that. This generation won't wait that long. Do you know what I mean? And you're proof that you can just get in the right company at the right time. They'll give you the right opportunities and the right tools. It's also another lesson that companies need to look internally. You know, it doesn't always have to be external. Again, I'm probably putting myself out of a job here, but they can look at at your team. Do you need to bring someone on, or can you give someone internally that opportunity? Because they're probably going to work harder because they care about you.
100%. Yeah. I come in every day, get my head down, and that's because I owe the company gratitude. I owe both the directors for trusting and believing in me and giving me this opportunity. I just want to say it's been surreal that you've even asked me to come on this and speak to you. Honestly, I can't get my head around it. I really appreciate it, Mark. You're doing great things for the younger generation. You really are.
No, thanks, man. And thank you very much. It's been class. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manufacturing Leads podcast. It absolutely means the world to me. Please let me know if you need any assistance. As a business, we look at providing partnerships with manufacturing engineering companies to really help their recruitment and retention. On the recruitment piece, anywhere from blue collar, semi-skilled staff, right the way up to C-suite level executive appointments, but also much more than that. We run events, so please let me know if you're interested in any of those. If you are interested indeed becoming a podcast guest, I'd be very, very keen to speak to you as well. More than happy to do so. But as a business, as I say, we look at key partnerships to really help your recruitment, your retention, your marketing, your training. We really believe in the partnership piece and being an extension of your business. So we're very proud to work in this sector. I love manufacturing engineering, and my staff are just as passionate about it as I am. So thank you once again for listening. Please get in touch to talk about anything we can do to help. Look forward to speaking to you very soon. Thank you.